Yo, hey guys, Wolfie here. I've solved the mystery of my dash cam / mirror getting all pissy. It's because that little ODB power connector was loose. I really need to get these wires taken care of to solve that problem. I've been lazy. I know I've been saying that for over, 2 months now. I'm kind of bad, but whatever. So I'm kind of feeling like crap today. I took the day off work. My stomach's a bit queasy for some reason, and I slept for shit, so it's hard to focus or concentrate on much of anything. Meh. It's probably a 24-hour flu, or just didn't sleep well or something. I don't know. Should get better soon. I see they're finally replacing their lawn too. I'm glad I'm not the only one in the neighborhood that had trouble with their lawn last year. Or this year. I can tell they're replacing it because it's like dead. The very clean lines, dead. As if somebody has gone through with a chemical and sprayed the whole damn thing to kill it. Which is exactly what you have to do when you're getting your lawn redone. There's actually traffic today. WTF. And lest I get in any trouble from my faithful YouTube viewers, X3 videos are rendering as we speak. So I promise it's going online. I've got a bunch of Fire Emblem to do too, but I'll do that after X3, I promise. And we're not done with that playthrough by a long shot, either X3 or Fire Emblem. Taking a break from FE because X3 has just really grabbed me. It gets you right in the feels and doesn't let go. It's an amazing game. Uh-oh. He's a big truck. He gets to cut me off. Law of Gross Tonnage applies. It's amazing how many people don't understand or have never heard of the Law of Gross Tonnage. Or at least, maybe not by name, but they seem not to understand the concept either. There's lots of different ways to express the Law of Gross Tonnage. It supposedly has maritime origins, but it's not a, it is a law. The law says physics wins. That's really the basics of it. But in maritime tradition, it's sort of an unspoken rule, or the law of gross tonnage really, or unwritten rule rather, that bigger ships have the right of way, always. Simply because they're bigger, they're harder to stop, harder to maneuver, and if you hit them with something smaller, the something smaller loses. It's just really simple concept. And so traditionally, if there's, if two ship captains notice a potential for a collision, it's the smaller ship's responsibility to try to avoid it. Well, the big ship should try too, but, what the fuck can you do if you're, navigating the fucking oasis of the seas, which is a gargantuan city ship with, 5,000 passengers and crew, versus like a little tug, and they're gonna collide. It's the tug's job to stop or change course or whatever, because the big ship, okay, yeah, you'll get a 2-degree turn out of it, and it might slow down from 30 to 29 knots over the span of a mile, but you're still fucked if you think it's going to stop or get out of your way, because it's not. So that's the original origin of the term, Law of Gross Tonnage. It's kind of a sarcastic thing. In more day-to-day real life, the concept still applies, and like this. It's a big-ass truck in front of me. It's got a cherry picker on it. It's loaded down with equipment. It's got wheels that come up to here compared to my car. And, whether whether the law says he had the right of way or not, because he cut me off. He did put his signal on, but he totally cut my ass off. Whether what he did was legal or not, he's bigger than me. If I get into a collision with him, I'm going to lose. And so many people don't think about that. When they drive aggressively or they screw with 18-wheelers. That shit's crazy. I cannot believe there are still people on this planet that will do stupid shit like brake checking a semi. Like, are you stupid? That's how you die, right? That's a quick way to get killed. Because bigger things just can't maneuver as fast, and they're bigger. They weigh more. It's just really simple. And there are people out there who just don't think of that. They let their road rage get the best of them. God, I don't think I've had any road rage in probably 20 years. I think the last time I actually had road rage enough that I messed with somebody on the road, it ended 5 minutes later when he followed me and then gave me a good hard punch across the left eye. So, yeah, I road raged for a minute and I got hit. Best way to avoid that, don't get in situations like that. I learned. Kind of felt bad that they actually charged him for that. Ultimately, I think he had to pay like 80. He paid me $80. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. And he didn't have to go to jail or anything. I guess he paid a fine and got a suspended sentence or whatever, and paid restitution in the amount of $80. Like, I kind of earned that punch, so I don't know why you're paying me, but okay, free money. I probably didn't have that attitude about it at the time, but Oh yeah, the funny thing about that is that the same night that because I went home like, oh yeah, some guy punched me, and my mother freaks out like, oh my God, you got to go to the hospital, you could have a concussion. Like, no, it was a punch. It's okay. I think there's a tiny cut on my eyebrow. It was a good punch. I mean, caught me off guard too. I'm not a fighter, so I didn't even see it coming because I was young, naive, and stupid. But I wouldn't see it coming today either. I'm easy to sucker punch because I don't think that way. But I'm like, okay, Mom, fine, I'll go to the hospital. So at frickin' midnight, I go to the Loveland Hospital emergency room. And I tell them, yeah, I got punched in the face. I'm fine. My mother panicked. Wants to make sure I'm okay. So, totally put me last in line. It's okay. And they're like, there's nobody else here, so come on in. And they looked. They're like, yeah, just a cut. Here's a little cotton ball. We'll clean it for you. We'll kiss your boo-boo and make it better. I'm like, yeah, shut up. Kind of, we laughed it up. They were like, yeah, guy hit you pretty good, but you're okay. So I go home and everything, and my mother calms down, like, okay, I don't have a concussion. Doc says I'm fine. ER cut me loose. They scrubbed my eyebrow for some reason, because they really wanted it clean. And that hurt more than the punch for some reason, but anyway. They did too. They got that orange, brown, whatever that stuff is you're supposed to scrub with before surgery. Yeah, they got a bunch of that, and they scrubbed the hell out of my eyebrow to get that little cut really clean. Healed fast, though. And so, yeah, we all went to bed. And I think 1 o'clock in the morning, the same night that happened, the doorbell rings. And, I get up, like, who the fuck's not going to ring in the doorbell at 1 o'clock? And my father woke up, too, and he got to the door first. And it was a cop. And the cop said, yeah, I want to see your son. And, my father being ex-Air Force and being the awesome father he is, said, What do you want with him? Well, I need to talk to him. No. What do you want? Well, he was, I need to write him a ticket for reckless driving. It's like, you can mail it. I need to see him. You're not coming in, and I'm not bringing him to you. And it turned out that I guess the guy that hit me either was friends with that cop or just knew somebody. And so he tried to drum up reckless driving charges on me. And, that was ridiculous. I hadn't done anything like that. In fact, the way the road rage worked out, I didn't actually drive any differently. I just pulled up beside him and flipped him off and yelled at him. And, that's still road rage, and I still definitely deserved the punch that I caught. But there wasn't any reckless driving. And, that was a load of shit. And so, my dad's like, nah, get the fuck out of here. You want to write him a ticket, you know where he lives. Send him mail. Just put it in the mail and send it. Well, I could arrest you for obstruction. I'd like to see you try. He was, my dad is still intimidating, even though he's in his 70s. If he's throwing shade your way, you don't really want to mess with him. But at that, back then, he was imposing. And he's been known to, he roughed up a few cops in his day. In his younger years, he roughed up a few cops. He wasn't welcome in Texas for about, I would say, 10 years. He had a warrant for his arrest out there because a friend of his got into a bar fight, and he jumped in because, it's his friend, and you do that. And a couple cops showed up and tried to get rough, and my dad kicked their asses too. And then his next stop was the airport. He was still active duty at the time, and so he got to the airport before the cops caught up with him, and got himself on the airplane. He actually they hadn't started boarding yet, but he was acting a bit nervous, and one of the crew at the gate asked him, what's up. He said, yeah, I just got in a bar fight, and the cops probably want to arrest me, but I gotta, heading up for deployment in a minute. So they got him on board the plane way early, and told him, do not leave this aircraft no matter what happens. Let's see if I'm backed up far enough. Okay, there we go. BRB. Okay, I'm back. Groceries acquired. So yeah, he gets on the airplane. They board him early. They don't let anybody else on. And the flight attendant, the head flight attendant, tells him, do not, under any circumstances, get off this aircraft until we've landed, where you need to go. And he's like, okay, cool. And this is why a good flight crew is really, good to have. Because sure enough, two asshole detectives decided to follow him, and they got into the airport, and they, came down, flashed their badges and came down the jetway, because the gate attendant didn't really, better not turn. They ran that red. The gate attendant didn't really know what to do, because, he works at the airport, and you don't want to really fuck with cops, because they can fuck with you. They get down the jetway, and the flight attendant, same woman that got him on the plane, stops the officers or the cops and goes, can I help you? Yeah, we're looking for Ken Farrell. And he knows what's going on at this point, so he screws with them a bit. He's like, I'm here, officer. Shouts to them from his seat, because he can hear all this. And the cop apparently got all pissy and said, that's detective. Because apparently they get really butthurt about titles. And so my dad kept antagonizing him. What can I do for you, officer? We just need you to come talk with us for a bit. Nah, I'm good here. Well, we need you to step off the plane so we can talk to you. Like, Nope, I'm good. And I guess they tried briefly to muscle their way on board, and the flight attendant put them in their place, because the only law enforcement that has any right to forcibly board an aircraft are the air marshals. And even then, they have to be well behaved, because the cool thing about airplanes, even on the ground, because of the way that all of our security laws are written in the United States especially, airplanes are basically kind of their own little fiefdoms. The captain, if he's on board, is in charge of that aircraft. You don't get on or off without his say-so, period. Doesn't matter who you are. And like I said, the exception is the air marshals, as far as I know. But even then, it's a pretty big deal if a air marshal forces his way onto an airplane on the ground. That's, that makes the news, or it should make the news. It gets reported, regardless. But so the flight attendant told them, "Nope, this is my plane. You're not coming aboard. You don't have jurisdiction here. Get the fuck out." And they didn't like it, but they didn't come on board, and they took off, and they left. And so, everybody else got on the plane, and they took off, and my dad got out of it. They ID'd him. They knew who he was, and they issued a bench warrant for his arrest because he got in a big fight, and he roughed up a couple cops. Pretty bad, too. But can't tell. In case you can't tell, I'm really proud of him. He's done so many cool things in his life, and once I came into the picture, once I was born, he did a lot of cool stuff for me and for my mother. It was just amazing how good a father he's been. And so this cop is trying to get all muscly and macho at 1 a.m. on our doorstep, demanding that my dad hand him his own child. I was like, no, get the fuck off my property. I think he actually said, "You have a warrant?" "No." "Get out. Go away. Want to write him a ticket? Send it in the mail." So they did. They charged me with reckless driving. And the really stupid thing is, we showed up for court because my dad's like, "This is horse shit." And so we went to the courthouse on the day the ticket was said I had to be there. And I showed the clerk the ticket, and she goes, "This never got filed. There's no case. There's no charges." So I guess the cop was just being an asshole. I mean, she even said that. And I was like, "No, you're fine. Get out of here." And I'm like, could I have that in writing?" "Oh, sure, yeah." She typed something up, handed it to me, and basically said, "William Farrell is a good boy. He didn't do nothing. He showed up like the ticket said, and we didn't have a case, so he's good to go." Put the little court seal on it and everything. It was kind of neat. So yeah, the cop was just being a dick and wrote me a ticket and never filed it. Because, what he really wanted to happen was, for Dad to be a puss and say, "No, get down here." But, the cop wanted to just lecture me and scare me, because I guess he was, his friend got in legal trouble for punching me. And that didn't happen, so he decided to be a dick and wrote the ticket. But I'm guessing that either the DA looked at it and laughed, like, "No, we don't have any evidence for this. All we have is the testimony of the guy that's already being charged with hitting him. So, no." But yeah, so that, nothing ever came of that. I still feel bad the guy had to pay me. I don't know. I didn't call the police either. I forget who did. I think it was it wasn't my girlfriend at the time either. I'm thinking it was at a friend's apartment. And I want to say it was one of the people at the apartment that called the cops because, "Hey, that guy just punched my friend." And they were, being helpful. And I'm glad they did. I mean, it's no big deal. But yeah, so that's the story of how I took a good hard punch to the face. But yeah, road rage isn't worth it because shit like that happens. big pain in the ass. People flex too much. You know, if somebody's being a dick on the road, just get away from them. Let them go. Yield. You know, obviously don't let somebody bully you off the road, but usually when somebody's just in a hurry and they're being an asshole, okay, it's kind of fun to obstruct for a while. You know, you get in the other lane and you pace the car next to you so the guy tailgating you can't get past. That's kind of fun. But you got to be a little careful with that too, because if you piss them off too hard, they might, you know, try to run you off the road or pull in front of you and brake check you. But, you know, as long as you're prepared for that, it's not a big deal. But generally, if somebody's just being obnoxious around you, don't bother. Just let them go. Because there's two things. You don't want to be near them any longer than you have to be because they're a danger and, you know, they're risky. I mean, they could cause you injury. And second, it's best to let people like that get ahead of you so that you can watch the inevitable accident they cause if they keep acting reckless and run into somebody that doesn't yield or let them go. No, you rarely actually see the outcome of something like that. You don't really catch the accidents. But, you know, there's always that chance. And it's always best to let them go so you can see in front of them, or so you can see them in front of you. I guess it's part of what they call defensive driving, but you're aware of a risk. You let the risk go, and you can see what the risk is doing. And you can kind of prepare yourself, you know, plan what lane are you going to be in? Where can you go if you have to get off the road real quick? That sort of thing. You can pay attention and, you know, have a safer trip. Now, that's the boring answer. The fun part is, like I just said, you can watch them go forth and entertain you. Maybe someone in front of you is going to fuck with them. That's always fun, too. You screw with somebody for a minute by, you know, pacing the other car next to you, and then you let them go. And then, like, 2 cars ahead, 2 fucking semis do it to him, or a couple other cars do it, and you can just see the guy's blood boiling, steam coming out his ears, and yeah. There are ways to entertain yourself on the road without getting into road rage yourself. Anyway, I'm back home. I'm going to put these groceries away, and I'm going to try to... Stomach is still feeling weird. I don't know what the hell's up with that. But I'll try to nurse that. And X3 videos are coming shortly. So stay tuned. I promise. PC's churning on it right now. So, yeah. That's it for now. Catch you later, guys.